I've been wanting to do something like this for a little while actually, because I have seen threads on groups several times relating to the best and easiest way to remove these KIF, Trior, Diashock type triple pointed springs, and they can be really fiddly. The Seiko one's a little more so because you only have one little exit notch, whereas the KIF Trior type like this typically have three, so that the three prongs line up, and it makes them a little bit easier to align and refit and remove accordingly. Apologies if the video quality is not superb. I'm filming this on my phone because I physically cannot get my other camera close enough. And what I've mentioned on the threads several times is that I use a shaped cocktail stick, or a lot of people use a piece of pegwood. I just use a cocktail stick because it's already sized about right. This particular one is a little bit like Trigger's broom. It's sort of like the fourth or fifth iteration, if not more, but the principle always remains the same. I whittle down one end to a smaller point and hollow it out, and the other end is left about the same kind of thickness and hollowed out like so. I just use a sharp scalpel blade, Swan Morton number 11, to do this, and the smaller one will fit. It depends on the watch and on the KIF springs. Some require the larger fitment, some require the smaller one. The larger one is usually more suited to the Seiko movements, the smaller one to the Swiss movement. And to use it, this is going to be a little bit tricky because I'm going to have to reach around the camera here. But hopefully you can see what's going on. You're basically putting this down here, and because of the hollowed out section, it allows the edges to press down on the spring, and you rotate it, and you rotate it a little. Then you have to lift it and check, and just keep doing that until you are aligned, and the spring should align with the notches accordingly. Excuse me while I just view this up close, because trying to look over the camera is not the easiest thing in the world. Okay, I'm actually gone a little bit too far there. So there we go. And that's then undone. So I'll just get my little piece of Rodico so that you can see that the spring then comes away like so. Now, what I need to do, excuse me one moment while I encourage that to stay put, because I don't want that to ping off and disappear into nowhere. And to refit it, it's simply a case of realigning the three divots like so, and then using the same end of the pegwood or cocktail stick, press and you kind of rock it a little bit as you rotate it, and then just check until you're about halfway between all of the slots. And as you can hopefully see there, that's locked into place. So that's the demonstration of the pegwood stroke cocktail stick method. It makes this job really easy. And if you've ever done this particular job with, I just realised I must have touched the screen with my nose as I was looking through the loop there, and that's probably gone a little bit out of focus, so apologies, but hopefully you could still see that. That makes this job so much easier, and especially if you've ever tried to do this with two pairs of tweezers, you'll know what an immense fiddle it can be. With the Seiko one, the same principle applies, but what you do is you hook one underneath the rim and you put one in the slot, and then you rotate that round and you kind of just rock it as you go, and this will lock the little lugs down into the slot as you go. However, one little addition: very recently I picked up this set of KIF stroke Trior removal and refitting tools, which are the same kind of principle. These are obviously designed in such a manner that they will fit into a screwdriver handle or into a pin vise. However, because I'm used to handling the cocktail stick anyway, it feels kind of right in my fingers. And you can see that the ends are shaped in such a manner that they actually fall into the shapes of the spring. And I've just had a very quick play with this, and I've got to say I'm absolutely amazed at how well it works. The added beauty is you can see where you're turning the spring. You can see when it gets to the actual notches, like so. And to refit it, exactly the same. Just push gently and twist it. And, oops, actually missed that there, apologies. I'm trying to look over the camera while I do this, but yes, just push gently and twist it, and you will feel it lock into place. I think, has that gone in? Let me just check. No, that's actually pinged out. Ah, there it is. My apologies. It's actually, it actually decided to pop out of place. I'm just going to try and put this back in. I do apologise, it's very, very difficult working I do apologise there. It's very, very difficult working over and around a camera. Makes it very, very tricky. So, and these things are fiddly at the best of times. So, pop that into place. Pop the little prongs down into there. Gentle press down and twist. And there we go. And hopefully you can see that that has twisted and locked into place. Sorry, I'm trying to get that in focus for you. It's actually very difficult to see, but hopefully you can see that. So yeah, if you get an opportunity to pick one of these up, then by all means go for it. I honestly only got that because I saw it on eBay. I like tools, I like novel little things, and it was cheap. And I thought, why not? I mean, I've used one of these for years. Like I said, not this specific one. This is, like I say, it's a bit of a triggers broom, but I've used one for years and it's always worked fine. There's literally no need to get one of these tools, none whatsoever. But if you find one cheap enough, then go for it, because that's surprisingly easy. So hopefully that's going to be useful for someone. This is going to be included as part of the BFG 866 video, but I'm going to put this little clip separately because I've seen several people ask about easy methods of removing and installing these springs, because they can really be a pain. They can be so fiddly. One other thing I will mention, one tip: demagnetize your movement either before you strip it or before you remove these to clean and lubricate them, because if these are magnetized, they can be a damn nuisance. Hence the reason I try to use brass tweezers, although I'm not a fan of brass tweezers. Generally speaking, I much prefer steel tweezers. They have more feel. But for things like this, I do try to use brass tweezers, because magnetism can be an absolute pain. So hopefully that was useful, and thanks for watching that.